Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Films and Stuff. I am Ethan, brought to you by P for Pete. Hey, Pete, what's up today?
Not much, buddy. How are you?
It is the weekly stream or skip episode. We know the rules. Regular listeners know the rules. But Pete, every week I ask you to recap the rules for new listeners. So in 20 seconds or less.
20 seconds, you're being generous. I like it.
Yeah, it used to be 15.
So Ethan and I have prepared lists of TV shows and movies we'd like each other to watch. All of them are shows that we wouldn't normally watch. And the idea is that we watch at least 2 episodes if it's a series, or at least 30 minutes if it's a movie, and on the basis of that, decide if that series or movie is worthy of being streamed or skipped.
And this week, you assigned me something on Netflix, which, as an aside, I think is starting to have a diminishing level of compelling shows that I want to watch. But that aside, you have assigned me something called Dragon Age Absolution. This is based on a video game, which you've played the video game, right?
I have. And so just as a brief background for those of us who haven't, it is an RPG made by BioWare, which is owned by Electronic Arts. BioWare is known for making some of the most compelling RPGs and action RPGs, or, whatever genre you want to call it. They haven't had many successes as of late, but Dragon Age is really one of their bread and butter IPs. It's quite possibly one of the best RPGs they've ever made, which makes it one of the best RPGs of all time. 1. And 2, the reason I really like it is because they've really gone deep with the lore and the background and the world building. Mm-hmm. And even though it's an animated show, the lore and the world building and the background is the same reason I thought this would be right up your alley.
So I watched it. It's on Netflix, and each episode is about 25 to 30 minutes. So it's not terribly long. I watched 2.5 episodes, and when I watched the first episode, I wasn't really into it. It's a cartoon, or I should say it's animated, with a lot of action, a lot of, rapid kind of fighting or action sequences. When I got kind of like halfway through the first one, I realized I probably wasn't paying as much attention to it as I should. So I actually started it again, and I caught a lot more about the premise, and it doesn't get into a lot of the lore right away. So I have to say, as someone who's not familiar with Dragon Age, like as an intellectual property, who's not familiar with, like the fictional world of Thadas and all the different, like oligarchs, the magisters, the different caste system, things like that, you can definitely follow it right away. So I guess I'm saying a benefit is that you don't have to actually know the storyline to watch and appreciate the series. After I got done with the first episode, it's kind of compelling. I mean, there is a heist. There is, some double crossing. Then there is a new group, an introduction. I mean, it's not terribly unique in terms of the storyline, but I have to say the characters are a little bit compelling. Certainly, I can see why, if that is your style, you would like the action, the fight sequences. I messaged you and I said that I was caught off guard by the fact that there is a romance in it that I wasn't expecting. Did you know that?
No. Well, in the show, no.
Is that part of the lore? I mean, they're lesbians. They have a romantic relationship. Did you know that?
So one of the jokes is that in all BioWare games, generally speaking, in their RPGs, it's never just you as the player. It's always you and your party. And one of the one of the hallmarks of a BioWare game is that you can choose to romance one of your party and
Oh,
develop relationships with them. So that seems like a nod probably to the game.
I mean, I guess in cartoons, you rarely see romances. I
Right,
know that,
right.
kind of like anime and manga are a little bit different, but like generally in animated shows, you don't see these deep, like affectionate relationships. This certainly wasn't on the level of, Team America, World Police, but there was clearly a romantic relationship, and I was caught off guard only because I wasn't expecting that to be a storyline in an animated series.
Sure.
But in any case, I have to say, I like the show. It's definitely well done. I can see why it would have a following. I don't think that it's really my style, and I don't think that there's anything really fantastic about the story, the characters, or the action that makes this a must subscribe. I would also not give it a mooch based on the criteria that if you're going to use political capital or family, I wouldn't expect that you would say, hey, I've got to watch this 30-minute episode. There's only 6 in the season. It doesn't seem like a mooch. Either this is your style, you love it, you've played the game, you love BioWare stuff, and you would subscribe, or it's not your style, you would skip. I don't see this being a mooch really for anybody. But for me, I mean, I'm not really into, kind of like magical artifacts. I'm not really into, forbidden blood magic and, some of these more fantastic concepts. Again, well done. If it was on and I had nothing else to do or someone else was watching it, but overall, it's not my style. I don't think there's anything really creative enough about it to bring it past a skip in my book. So that is Dragon Age Absolution on Netflix. 6 episodes, 1 season in English.
Oh, that's a shame. I was really hoping you'd get into it, but I guess not, huh?
Yeah, I think you would like it more than I would, but I would also be surprised if you would give it a must subscribe.
Okay.
Okay. That's my streamer skip. What do you got, my friend?
So I went almost like thematically the exact opposite.
Oh,
I had Lawmen. Now, here's the question. Is it Bass Reeves or Bass Reeves? And the reason I asked that is because it's pronounced both ways in the show.
in the show? Is it a Western?
It is a Western. It's on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
It's one of the very few shows not produced by Ty Sheridan
Yeah.
in the Western verse that he's
Yeah.
built. Here's the kicker.
Okay.
Lawman Bass Reeves, based on a true story, based on a real
No
life
way.
figure. Yeah. It's a Western, but it's really a Western biopic. And it's about this guy called Bass Reeves,
Set in the modern day?
set in Civil War North America.
Ah.
Bass Reeves was a slave. He was fighting for the South because his master was fighting for the South. He escapes, becomes a farmer, and then gets recruited to be the first ever black U.S. Marshal.
Okay.
The first episode gives you a very quick rundown of his history about how
What state is this?
that is a wonderful question.
Oh, doesn't say.
Or if it did, I missed it.
Okay.
It's in the South. That's all I
Yeah.
can say.
Yeah.
And
But it's like Carolinas or it's like Alabama's or Virginia.
honestly, I'm embarrassed to say I didn't even catch that.
Okay.
This will probably clear it up for you though. So the first episode shows him escaping, how
Yeah.
he escapes from the war rather. When he escapes, he ends up working with an Indian family on an Indian reservation, the Choctaw Nation.
Huh.
When he then becomes a farmer and gets recruited, the first mission he gets recruited on is because they're tracking down a bounty of someone who's from that reservation.
Huh.
And so I did some Wikipediaing and some Googling. He was very well versed in Native American culture. and he could speak that specific language. And so that's one of the reasons they asked him to join the U.S. Marshals, is because he was well integrated into that part
Huh.
of society.
You will be interested to know that this historically took place in Arkansas.
There you go.
We did not even guess that as part of
No,
the South.
no. It's a historical Western. It's got phenomenal production values. It looks really, really good. It feels
Yeah.
authentic. It feels like you'd be watching a movie, actually. It doesn't even feel like you're watching a TV series. That's how good it is. The acting is phenomenal, and you won't believe it. The actor, David Oyelowo, I hope I'm saying that right, is
Yeah.
actually British.
Huh. Oh, we know him. Oh man, he's in a lot of stuff, huh?
Yeah, he's really good. No accent that I could make out. So it's felt very authentic.
Yeah.
Having said all that,
Here it comes.
it's a very strong mooch. Like how you felt with Masters of the Air,
Yeah.
I would not disagree if someone said this was a must subscribe. I would
But
disagree if
yeah.
someone said this was a skip. I think this is a mooch because it's based on a true story, so that's already got some innate interest there.
Yeah.
But a historical Western, not my bag.
That guy is very, very well known, right? I mean, just looking at his IMDb, he's been in Midnight Sky. He
Selma.
has Selma. I mean, that's a very, very prominent movie.
So yeah, he's been in a lot. He's a classically trained
Yeah.
Shakespearean actor from the UK. It's
Yeah.
very good. If you're looking for a show that's grounded, that's based on true story, and if you don't mind the gritty, Western genre, you couldn't go wrong with this show. But that's not my bag.
Okay.
It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's not to say I don't like
Yeah.
Westerns. It's just Westerns I'm already a little bit down on.
Yeah.
And then coupled with the fact
Yeah.
that it's a Western set in a Civil War era and it's about a true historical figure,
Yeah.
one who, by all rights and mean, is a very important figure in history, but someone I had never even heard of. It's
Yeah.
less interesting to me. Don't get me wrong, it's a good show. It's just not my bag, but I don't think it's a skip either.
In our own way, Pete, we're too nice of people because this is, stream or skip. It's not stream or skip, but do we really want to be delicate with the feelings of
Yeah,
some very
that's right. That's absolutely right.
decent professionals, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, so yeah, I mean, we've done that more than once. I've done that more than once myself. We've said, hey, I really don't want to say this, but it's a skip.
Yeah.
Because I like all the people. It's been really well done. Everything is great. But for whatever reason, sometimes, shows just don't come together. Whereas sometimes, there's really lousy people, actors who are in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, but they're part of a show that's just fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And we think you have to watch.
Absolutely. Look, the way I look at it is, so I've started the first 2 episodes. I finished the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Would I continue and finish on the season? Absolutely. I just wouldn't prioritize it over the others. That's the reason I call it a mooch.
That's
in
right.
the sense that,
that's right.
You know what? When my watch list is completely empty and I'm desperate to watch a show, I know I can come back to this.
I mean, I think that's the test I think we try to use for we realize that you and I we've said this more than once. I mean, we're the exception, not the rule. We make watching entertainment a priority. It's our hobby. We have perhaps more free time or prioritize it more than other people. But the general majority of people have X amount of hours per week, whether it's on a Friday night or Saturday night or whatever. And when you've got those 2 hours, it's not about, do I want to pick this up and watch those last 2 episodes? Or is it, oh man, I can't wait to see what happened on blank, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it sounds like Bass or Bass Reeves and Dragon Age are not those shows. But all is not lost. We have a new streamer skip next week, and we will go into assignments.
That's true.
So then let's wrap up with the assignments for next week.
Indeed. So in any case, for next week, We're both on Apple TV.
Yes.
You are watching a show called Palm Royale.
Palm Royale.
I believe Kirsten Wiig is in it.
Love Kristen Wiig.
Yes. I mean, I saw the trailer a long time ago, but I don't actually recall what it's about, but it looked interesting. And I am watching a show called The New Look.
Oh, also on Apple TV.
Also on Apple TV. Actually, I've never heard of this show. I haven't even seen a trailer for it. So that should be interesting.
Okay, there we go. Next week, Apple TV Plus on the spot with Palm Royale. So Palm Royale sounds, I'm doing a very little bit of like Googling at the same time. I guess kind of like a dramedy, more comedy, but a little bit of drama. And it sounds like it's set in Palm Springs, California-ish. Not clear exactly on what the time frame is. Maybe not modern, but not historical. So that's me. That is Palm Royale. Excited for that. I was excited for anything on Apple TV Plus, actually.
Yeah, actually.
Looking forward to hearing about The New Look as well, whatever that is about.
Whatever that's about. Indeed. Until then, though, if you guys have any insight on Dragon Age Absolution, actually reach out to us because I am a huge fan of the games. If you're excited about Veilguard, which is the new game that's coming out shortly, or if you love Dragon Age Inquisition or Origins or any of them, reach out to us, tweet at us at F&S Podcast, DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast, or leave a comment below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. All that YouTube jazz really helps us out.
Yeah, Pete, I'd like you to watch at least one episode of Dragon Age just so that we can get kind of the counterbalance to my position, which is, I mean, as a big fan of the game itself, do you love the show or do you think, okay, good show, but like nothing special? Be
Happy to
interested
do
on
it.
your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll touch base on it next week.
Double homework. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Stream or Skips segment of the Films and Stuff podcast, and we will see you next time. Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Ethan.
Thank you, listeners.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.